I'm so excited.
Okay.
We have
Special guest.
Wanda Maximoff. She's on a pepper pot stand. It's fine. This is one of like my favorite dolls.
She's very good.
This is like top 5, if not possibly top 3.
Those are some high ass boots, girl.
It was a very limited edition because it is the costume that she wears at the end of Ultron.
Yeah.
So she's only in it for like seconds. And
like at the very end.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I like the cape they gave her, or not really cape, but it's like a corseted jacket like thing. I liked that fine, but I just thought it was kind of, I don't know, dull. And this I thought was so much.
You're so bad at skin tones.
They're really dark. All of this, the Hot Toy skin tones are really dark. I think it's to make it look more masculine so that it doesn't look like a Barbie.
This one, and I don't notice it when she's sitting over there, but like this one and the Belle doll are just like not the color these women are.
Yeah, all of the skin tones are darker than the Belle one is actually very.
She's like so tan. It's like if Belle took a vacation to the Caribbean and then went back.
So it was like a really limited edition.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
She was super special.
And I'm really glad I got her because a lot of people that didn't really missed out. And unfortunately, they've only made one Vision. Oh. And at the time, I thought a lot of times with Hot Toys, if they're going to make more than one, just organically, I mean, the first pancake, you know.
Yeah.
they tend a second or third version tends to be better. Yeah. That is not gospel.
True, yeah.
But I just thought, let's give a character like Vision another go through. And then they just never
haven't made another one.
So I don't have Vision.
Maybe they'll make one for the show. Maybe he'll be wearing his Mr. Rogers clothes. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I hope they're going to give them fancier. His costume's fancy.
Yeah.
I hope we're going to give her one closer to, not in the slutty way.
Okay.
But I hope we're going to give her one closer to her comic book.
Sure.
Just some pizzazz, because we're out of this whole like 2000s era where the X-Men need to be in black leather. Like, I want her headdress. I want the dangly beads, and I want
the only thing we liked about X-Men Apocalypse was like Olivia Munn's outfit,
the kooky costumes and stuff. And when we're getting into the multiverse of madness, then let's go ahead and like let's see her and like. Whew.
I might insist at some point and pitch in. Obviously, I might insist that we get a Doctor Strange doll.
Oh, I didn't know that you cared that much because I liked the Endgame one.
I really like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I considered it because it was a very good doll. Yeah. It's kind of like how I like Star-Lord fine.
Yeah.
I like Guardians 1 and 2 Star-Lord a lot.
Yeah. That's fair. You can stop.
But this was a stellar doll.
It's a really good doll.
It's one of the best ones that they've done, and the accessories and the likeness and everything. So. Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching WandaVision. This is the start of our weekly coverage of WandaVision. I am so excited because we're finally covering a show that I actually care about.
Oh, well.
We've thrown a couple of lines out there to see if anything caught.
Pardon me.
No, I mean, we did Hill House or Bly Manor and Sabrina and all that, but there was a couple. Remember Mandalorian? Kind of like, it was fine.
It petered out, and then we didn't finish it.
Well, we did, but we
didn't finish talking about it, yeah.
So, episode 1 and 2 of WandaVision, so much for not talking too much.
Yeah.
So, episode 1 and 2 of WandaVision, I'm so excited. I am a Wanda Maximoff stan as much as I can be. I think the movies have served her well.
They've served her okay.
Served her fine.
The thing about it for me is like, I think the movies haven't served her as well as Elizabeth Olsen has served her.
And particularly her work with Chris Evans, they were and Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
They were filling in a lot of the blanks.
You can like feel the backstory that the text didn't give.
Because I think she got good material in Civil War. It's one of the reasons why I do like Civil War. There's a handful of my things. Because remember, they come down real hard on her for blowing up that building while throwing crossbones into the building. I've read she's an Omega level mutant. I have very sort of basic understandings as to what all that stuff means. But she's a character that's very, very interesting and very, very tricky to do, especially in a like mainstream blockbuster format, because of how powerful she is.
I think they've worked around that by like not making her quite that powerful.
Well, they've made it raw is what they've done.
Yeah, she doesn't.
It's very Jean Grey in that regard.
Yeah, but it's not insufferable.
I think that the character, and as you mentioned, Elizabeth's portrayal, has a lot of potential in ways that the movies have really only coasted. So
it's because there's so many people and things they have to keep in the air, and she's sort of a secondary character. I get it, but like I'm so pumped for her to shine.
Well, because I was one of the people who was like, I wanted a movie, but I couldn't imagine what that would be like.
Just a Wanda movie?
Yeah. So when they announced the show, I was like, this actually sounds perfect. And especially given what Disney Plus has produced so far, given the quality of it, it does not feel like a slap. Because if anything, I'm sort of more intrigued because we're getting 9 episodes with these people versus an hour-and-a-half movie or 2-hour movie that they have to cobble together.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I also, having watched these first 2 episodes, and they are pretty impressive, like effects and like visually and everything.
Well, it's just conception. The concept is,
but it's making me even more excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki. I was already excited, but I'm just like, now we're seeing one of these in execution finally, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna be good.
This is the one I was the most excited for.
I'm most excited for Loki.
I am, after seeing that preview trailer. I'm very excited for Loki. I love Winter Soldier and I like Falcon. But based on the trailer, it just looks like
a
action. It just
crime, like an action-y crime thing. Yeah. I'm gonna watch it. I'm sure
it'll be good. But
it's like the biggest travesty of that is that they made Sebastian Stan cut his hair. Stupid.
So
super stupid.
But I am so into this. I'm so into WandaVision. It was one of those things that when they announced it, it was so weird. It had to be good. I was like, this sounds so bad. They have to have a plan.
They have to be able to nail it.
They have to. Yeah. But even I was like, WandaVision, what the fuck is that? And then I was like, oh, what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's exactly like what it sounds like.
And I grew up, I watched The Nick at Night, the Block Party Summers. I watched I Love Lucy, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie. This was so that.
It was so.
It was
like a little bit more like Dick Van Dyke or like
Paul Bettany.
Yeah. Well, but you said Bewitched. Yeah. It was like a mix.
The effects, the like the good bad effects, because there's not wires. I kind of kept looking to see if there were, and there weren't. But some of them they did do in reverse. And actually, I did not know this, but Will said that they did film those scenes in front of a live studio audience, which.
Yeah, no, it was good. It's weird because I don't love laugh track shows, but there is something more electric about a studio audience show. It's different.
Well, and also with what this is doing, it's like a genre. Yeah. It's like this isn't a laugh track it's not a lowest common denominator thing.
Well, that's the thing is like it wasn't like an overwhelming cheering. It was just like you could hear real people being like, ah.
And this is another reason why I'm so happy they're doing this the way that they are, is because it's so weird and it allows because it's not a big blockbuster. It doesn't have. I mean, it's got a ton of pressure on it.
It does have a ton of pressure.
But it doesn't have quite that kind of pressure.
It doesn't have to bring home box office numbers.
And there was just something so interesting about watching something weird that actually is taking its time. Yeah. I'm entertained. Because I think there are people who would not be there with this. And those people are going to love Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I also think there's going to be a generational thing where like we're one of the last generations that did watch Nick at Night.
I'm curious
because Nick at Night now is Friends.
No, I understand that, but I'm curious if that is like a lost era. If the youth today have any point of reference for like
I Love Lucy or the Mary Tyler Moore Show, or
because I loved it. I remember when I was a child, I thought black and white equaled boring, so I wouldn't watch I Love Lucy. And then there was one time at the beach where the family, I like fell asleep in the afternoon, and the family went out looking for crabs without me, and I woke up in an empty house, and it was Nick at Night Tuesday, and the only thing on was I Love Lucy. And it was the Superman episode was the first one that I saw.
Okay.
And the level of, it's not, I want to say betrayal. It's not betrayal, but I was so thrown that it was funny.
Oh.
My like 10-year-old brain couldn't comprehend that it was funny. I thought it was going to be boring, but that whole first episode of WandaVision, we go, like 23 minutes without, 23 minutes, that's a straight old-timey sitcom without a weird thing. Yeah. And then he chokes, and it like got scary.
It did get a little scary. So here's the thing, and I guess this might be spoilers, but I feel like I've seen stuff that like leads us to believe we know what's going on.
Spoilers for the show?
For the show in general.
Or like...
It's like a simulation. They're like trying to, they're like trying to like bring her back down.
That's what I originally thought.
Okay.
But the stuff I've seen since seems like they're trying to find her.
So she's in like a thing of her own making.
Either that or Hydra has like...
Because I was going to say, she keeps hearing Randall Park saying, who's doing this to you?
Yeah. I had originally thought, and I don't know if I made this up or read it somewhere, sometimes that blurs, but I had thought that she was too volatile coming off of Endgame, and that they had to deliberately like put her under to try and stabilize her before they brought her out. Because that's what I thought we were dealing with. But
because I thought this was, because that could also be like
and we could be to some,
like a prison of her own making, because I thought it was because she realized that Vision didn't come back.
I think that's going to be an aspect of it. And it's really fascinating because it was a critique of mine of the MCU that for me, so obviously, Steve Rogers and Peggy are like this great, decade spanning love for the ages, but we don't see them together.
They like never even go on a date, which
until
is,
the very end.
But that's the thing is like, and so then it's after that it's Tony and Pepper, but it's like, you're right, the MCU does not have like a grand romance, which is like a little bit of a bummer. I think they should.
It really is. I think that
this is going to be that.
Well, maybe, but I think that the MCU needs just a little bit of sex and just a little bit of romance. Yeah. Because DC's pulled it off with Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like one of the few things that we can give it to them when they've earned it. Yeah. We'll give it to them.
Yeah.
And I could use just an element because Wonder Woman 2017 is risque.
Yeah, a little, yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's not like striptease, but there are risque jokes. I mean, he's cupping.
And he's like talking about how he's above average, and she's like, "We don't need men for pleasure, just procreation."
Yeah, so I could use just a skosh more sex appeal in the MCU, and we'll see.
And that is not to say that everybody in the MCU isn't super sexy, but it's like. But then push them together.
Well, so we've had this Wanda and Vision relationship, but all of the actual work has been done off screen. So we've been taking on faith. We care because these are competent, talented people. But
when we catch up with them in Infinity War in Edinburgh or whatever, it's like they've just been like living and hiding together. And I'm like, cool, but where's that movie? That's what I want to watch. I want to watch Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany in like a We're Exploring Europe movie.
And they were kind of like, that was kind of a fluke.
Yeah.
When they cast Paul Bettany, he did not like.
He was doing voice work.
Yeah. He was like, when they decided to make me Vision, I was like, shit. Because his favorite part was he just had to record and got that Marvel money. Yeah. And now he's like, so it's good that he is handsome and talented, comedically talented,
so handsome.
And has chemistry with Elizabeth. And it's like, so they lucked out a few ways there, which of course they could have recast if there was an issue, but still.
No, I think it works. I think it works perfectly. I think we obviously both of us are a little more drawn to Elizabeth because we like the female characters a lot, but
she's the Scarlet Witch.
She's also the Scarlet Witch. It's amazing. But I do think that there is something very special about Paul Bettany in the MCU. I think he's very good. I think he brings like they all do. I think he brings a really specific and unique energy to the whole thing.
Well, and I think it's a really
right, their chemistry together is actually like so amazing.
It's a really bold move to kill him off and then endear them to us.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is the MCU. It is relatively low stakes. I have a feeling that we'll see him, that this is not his swan song.
It's the thing from Thank You for Smoking where it's like, it's a good thing that we have that bring back Vision machine right over here.
Well, I said when you're dealing with Vision and also the multiverse, there's like a ton of stuff they could do.
Even if it's not Vision, I'm sure there's a Paul Bettany shaped human in another universe that's like.
And also, it's really cool because their characters have been rather severe in the MCU. And so far, what we're seeing is an entirely different thing. And I also like this little, I don't know if I would call it a retcon, but they've gotten rid of her accent finally.
Oh, God.
Mercifully.
God bless. Love her to pieces. Love
It's not even that I think she was bad at it. It just was
so clunky.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I want to get into her powers beyond just like this red
and like lifting things.
Apparently in the comics she can do something called like a hex, and it has to do with probability. You've told me about that before. It has to do, so it's like a risk, it's like a gamble because it can make things worse for you. But it's basically like it throws the statistics into like a skew or something. Like it's a probability thing. And I would like to see a little bit more of that. But I think that it was wonderful getting to see broad comedy from these characters, and he's really good at it.
You know, I was sitting there and I was like, it's so fun watching him do like broad
slapstick
comedy. Like you said, I was like,
burlesque.
I'm not used to it. And I was like, although I was introduced to him in A Knight's Tale, and he is funny in A Knight's Tale, and that is like his deal in A Knight's Tale. So I guess I knew he could do it, but it's like he is really reaching for the Dick Van Dyke, and it's working.
The cast filling them out too. I mean, I mentioned Deborah Jo Rupp, Catherine Hahn. We had Emma Caulfield.
We did have Emma Caulfield.
Was a blast for me.
Yeah.
She, real piece of work, Dottie.
Real piece of work, Dottie. She is Anya.
Yeah.
On Buffy.
So are these people in the simulation with her?
That's what I can't decide.
Because Dottie was not feeling whatever happened with the radio when Randall Park was calling her.
Yeah, I think it's Randall Park.
When the man was calling.
I think it has to be Randall Park.
And he was like, Wanda, who's doing this to you? And it was sort of mixing with Help Me, Rhonda.
Yeah.
And it was...
Yeah, I don't know what the other people are, because the only person who seems totally oblivious to anything weird is Catherine Hahn, Agnes.
But that, I'm afraid of her.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
She's not a good person.
I don't know that I think she's not a good person. Do you think? Do you think she's like a
well, we discussed
monitor?
One of the commercials that was in the show was for a watch that said Hydra on it. I think that lends to your idea that Hydra might have her in some sort of thing.
There's been a commercial for in each of the two episodes, and it's the same actors in the commercial. It's really weird and funny. In
which case, I would say that Catherine Hahn is a Hydra agent.
Okay.
But that we have no evidence to go on that with right now.
That's an interesting theory. Because it's also, we're in a very Truman Show place.
We are in a very Truman Show place, yeah.
And so
she keeps being able to tell that something's wrong.
And the color.
Yeah.
And the color that like seeped in.
It burst into color. Because I don't. Very Pleasantville.
Yeah. Well, because I don't know what the helicopter was.
I don't either. It was like a toy helicopter, but I feel... I don't know. And then they kept hearing all that banging that was going on. And then there was just like a beekeeper came out of the manhole at the end.
I just completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Very bizarre. I'm so invested. I'm so interested.
It's just cool. It's just weird and cool. And I love that I get to just actually be kind of like, marveled by something.
It's definitely one of those things where it makes me so happy to be alive when I am alive. Because
one of the few bits of respite we get in this timeline. And I mean, I'm not like, this again.
No, yeah. No.
Like,
which to your point is kind of how we both feel like we're going to feel during Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's just like,
I mean, I have faith.
Look, another crime show.
I have hope.
I have hope. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just mostly loved it. It was just a delight to sit down for like an hour and watch these two episodes.
Because the other guys were, everybody's weird. Yeah. I loved the gossipy guys.
Well, that's how it. You've never seen Pleasantville, right?
I have long ago.
That's how it's like Pleasantville is everybody is just like doing these regimented things. And you're like, something is wrong here. But they don't totally realize that it's wrong.
I need to see Pleasantville again because I was like 12 and I saw it alone with my mom in the theater and it was real uncomfortable.
That's not a good thing.
It was really, because there's a scene in the movie where the mother masturbates and I just remember being like...
Let's watch Pleasantville soon.
So I think I might feel differently about it now.
I think you will. I think we should fast track Pleasantville.
I feel like we should have talked more specifically about like the plot or whatever, but it was very light.
That's the thing is it's like 50s sitcom plot where in the first one they have a miscommunication and she thinks it's their anniversary and he thinks that it's his boss coming over to dinner and it's actually
it's like a dream. So maybe your initial instinct that she's done this to herself somehow because it's like an Inception where they're like they can't remember how they got there.
Yeah, they can't remember how they got there. They can't remember when they got married. They can't remember.
They just sort of, they just sort of have the here and now.
And he's working at some place called Computational Services, Inc., which I think is hilarious.
I found it actually very funny.
He is a machine.
What? I most certainly am not. I'm a regular carbon-based employee made entirely of organic matter, much like yourself. No.
I think it's very good. It's very good.
So, well, they are in color now. Yeah. Do we think they skipped forward yet? Or, we'll find out.
Because these two were both mostly 50s, I think. 50s, early 60s.
60s, yeah.
Because she's wearing pants, which is a 60s thing.
The first one was, I think, 50s.
Yeah. And so I
think we're going to 70s next.
I think it's going to be potentially 70s next. Yeah.
Oh.
And she's pregnant.
Oh, yeah. So I'm curious what they're going to do. I think she has... No, I think they're twins. It's Wiccan and...
Wasn't it Warlock?
Is it Wiccan and Warlock? Warlock is a thing. I don't know that they're to be, well, yeah, which you're like, yeah, that sounds right. And actually, one of them I think is gay. That would be.
I mean, I don't think we're going to get that this season.
They're jumping decades. If it's because I saw Evan Peters was on the cat, and I'm like,
okay.
You don't hire Evan Peters and not cast him as a gay magic baby named Wiccan.
I mean,
so
I guess that's how Ryan Murphy's cashing all those checks. So,
so yeah, we can't wait. Hopefully, you enjoyed us rambling on about this stuff, and we'll see you next week.
Yay!